How's your new brewery? Mr. Moe?
Great until there was a COVID case.
Did you figure out that phone number yet?
You're shocking.
No.
Hmm?
It's not on the
I
way.
was surprised at that picture. Jesus.
Am I on?
Hey, Rick, do you know if we're gonna have audio on the video?
Well,
You know,
Place was jammed, Neil, for a while there. And that's, you know,
I heard. I know some people that were there.
yeah. I don't know where, where it emanated from, but I know one of my staff, their daughter, who works there,
morning, Mayor.
became positive. So, I mean, she's out of work too now, you know?
Right there.
Oh,
There we are.
Oh, no.
Trickles down.
I know in the Lone Ranger.
I know where I got it. I got it.
Now, am I on with the audio and everything?
My wife.
96.
Oh, weren't you so generous, huh?
I haven't hit 98 yet.
Give her. I would give her.
How do I,
You didn't have anything to hear from her, right?
I had nothing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Really kicked her butt?
No,
That's too bad.
she's still not back on.
No. I just pressed one of these buttons. Might have pressed the microphone.
George, you look good.
Hell, that-
I gotta be able to hear it, though.
There you go.
We have someone on the call, that's just showing up as a phone number, 203.
Yeah, Mayor Cassetti, City of Ansonia.
Hi, Mayor.
How you doing?
Good.
Bryce, he figured it out.
Like that, of course. I mean, you don't sit in our seats and not understand it, but my point simply is,
Yeah, he was looking at a finance position in Waterbury once, I remember.
was he?
Mhm.
So his education background is finance?
Yes,
Oh, okay. Okay,
and bodies. He owns a funeral home.
Yeah, well, that I know. That I know.
Are we ready?
I would say that we are ready.
Are we unmuted?
Yes, you are unmuted. Everyone can hear.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Good to be here with all of you. Let's start out with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mayor Hess.
Very good.
Yes.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I was trying to find your cadence with all this.
I know. Roll call, please.
Or,
Can you turn it a little louder?
just trying to get back to my screen. Okay. So we have from the city of Ansonia, Mayor Cassetti.
Present.
We have from the town of Beacon Falls, First Selectman Smith.
Present.
Okay. From the town of Bethlehem, we should have First Selectman Assard.
I'm here.
From the city of Bristol, Mayor Zoppo Sasso.
Here.
From the town of Cheshire, Jerry Sitko. Do we have anyone from the city of Derby?
Yeah, that's good. Now
Who
look
from
at
the city of Derby? Okay. I'll see him on. Okay, we're assuming that Rich Zekin is on the call.
We have a little feedback, Rick, from you.
Yeah, I know.
Chamber.
Okay, I'll just speak loud. Town of Middlebury, First Selectman St. John.
Here.
From the Borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Here,
From the town of Oxford, First Selectman Temple.
Here.
From the town of Plymouth, First Mayor Merchant.
Yes, here.
From the town of Prospect, patient 192. Are you there, Bob?
He's muted.
Okay. So Mayor Chatfield is with us, he's quarantined today.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
It's
We're here,
quarantine.
Bob. Get well, buddy.
Oh, for the record, First Selectman Smith was going to clean my gutters this afternoon.
Oh, good. Send him to my house after.
Hey, Bob, that's only your gutters, nobody else's. Okay.
All right. Forget about Beacon Falls.
Do we have from the town of Seymour, First Select Person, Jagronis? Okay. City of Shelton, we are awaiting Mayor Loretti in the room.
What a shock.
Town of Southbury, First Selectman Manville.
Here.
Town of Thomaston, First Selectman Munn.
Here in the flesh.
City of Waterbury, Mayor O'Leary.
I'm here.
From the town of no one from Watertown. Town of Wolcott, Mayor Dunn.
Here.
From the town of Woodbury, First Selectman Perkinson.
Here.
We're also joined today by Kevin Zak from the Naugatuck River Revival Group, John Field, who's our coordinator for Demis Region 5, Dave Murphy from Mylona Broom, who is signed up for the public portion. Sarah Radacey, is Sarah with us? Yes, Sarah is with us from Condot. We have Hetty Ayers and Samantha Lebron from Eversource. David Kraszewski from Greater Waterbury Chamber. And I am lost on members of Congress. I know that Janine Lupo is with us from Congresswoman Hayes. Do we have anyone else?
Who's Cynthia Bombard?
Cynthia?
Yeah, I'm with the Central, President of the Central Connecticut Chambers of Commerce out of Bristol.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Okay. And we have a quorum present. I don't know if there's anyone else I have not mentioned as a guest.
Okay, very good. Do you want to go to the presentation or do you want to do public comment first? What do you think?
Why don't we go to the presentation?
All right. Kevin Zak.
Yes.
For all of you, I think you know Kevin Zak. He's probably the biggest Naugatuck River advocate we have, fortunately. And he's going to do a presentation today about the Kinneytown project and the Ting Fish Ladder and the bypass channel. So Kevin, the floor is yours, buddy.
Thank you, Mayor, and welcome to the Kinneytown Dam and the Pretenu Dam Bypass presentation. I'm going to do my best to condense about 10 years of research into about 15 minutes, and we'll do it by video. As the video is running, it's going to the Pretenu Dam. This is the Pretenu Dam Bypass, which was built in 2014 at $6.3 million. What the takeaway here is it's 1.8 miles upstream from the dam we're going to be focusing.
So
which is the
what will the fish do? The fish are coming up from Kinneytown Fishway. Having come up through the impoundment behind the Kinneytown Dam, they're going to be migrating along. They're going to be following the water flow, and then they're going to go right up.
How do you like your job? And I said it would be a lot easier if someone told me how to make fish. And but this is where we make fish. What this dam does, allowing shad, river herring, and others to have access to 32 miles of river, is where we make fish. There is a connection, and people are starting to appreciate more the role of forage fish in the marine ecosystem.
Passage around the Pretenu Dam complements a series of 7 dam removals and one other fishway on the Naugatuck River and one of its tributaries. And more are planned. In fact, there's folks in the audience who are conspiring on some future projects right now. Including in the audience today are people who have lived in the valley all their lives, and I see a few of you right now. They remember the flood of '55. They remember all of the fires and the mill closings, and they certainly remember when the Naugatuck River was one of the foulest rivers in the United States. Nothing could live in it. Did any of you think you'd live to see the day when there'd be trout swimming in the river and runs of wild shad would be passing through Waterbury?
About this park, what will it do? It's going to draw people back to the river. It's going to expose them to fish, to birds, to turtles, all sorts of nature. The restoration has been a team effort, a testament to what is possible when a community understands the value of its own natural resources, embraces the power of conservation. And by restoring this fish passage and preserving a fragile ecosystem, we fulfill our obligation to our children, our children's children, and the generations that follow.
This is in Seymour, and that's Route 8 in the background. Now, the reason why we presented the Pretenu Dam Bypass first, if Rick, can you hold that for 1 second?
Yeah, I'll take it up to the river.
Okay. All right. These are fish, by the way, below Kinneytown. Now, where you are, what you're looking at right now is presentation of the Kinneytown Dam. The Naugatuck River is the largest tributary to the Housatonic. Can you stop that right just a little bit more? Just another couple of seconds, right there. All right. So what do we have here? We have a problem that all of us are, that is attached to all of us in this audience and for the 250,000 people that live and work in the valley. And what is, if you do not know you have a problem, you can't fix it. Now that $6.3 million Pretenu Dam Bypass is right now, I would consider it, or I nickname it, the $6.3 million paperweight. And here's the reason. Fish that are migrating into the Naugatuck River, the Housatonic, and then take a right into the Naugatuck River are stopped 1.8 miles below that Pretenu Dam Bypass. This area is the largest Western Long Island diadromous habitat, and it's blocked on by the Derby Dam about a mile up, a little bit over a mile from the Naugatuck River. You could see that. You could actually see the Derby Dam on this aerial view of my drone shot. So we're going to take a right up into the Naugatuck River as fish have done for thousands of years, and they will travel about 4 miles up to the Kinneytown Dam. So if fish, eel, and lamprey cannot get beyond the Kinneytown Dam, they can't get to the Pretenu Dam Bypass, to the 34 miles of restored fishery. And what you're looking at right there is the Kinneytown Dam. It's a reverse shot. We're going backwards upriver. What you're looking at to the left is what they call false attraction. That is causing fish to get drawn to the base of that dam, where they usually die. And for 5 years, I had been looking for fish in the Naugatuck River, actually for the past 10 years, to film. And then 5 years ago, I started to explore below the Kinneytown Dam, and then a light bulb went off, and that was where all the fish were. Other than stocked fish in the 32 miles up to Thomaston, all the fish, the natural fish, were down below this dam. And what this presentation will show you is 5 years of my cameras going below the Kinneytown Dam. So you can run it now. So there must be safe, timely, and effective fish passage of 2 ladders at that dam if the diadromous fish are to make it up into the 32 miles above it and all the way to Thomaston. So there's all kinds of varieties and large quantities of sea run and riverine fish that are seeking to pass the Kinneytown Dam right now. And if these fish are going to use it, they need to use 2 instruments. There are 2 ladders at Kinneytown. One is to the left. It actually looks like a ladder. It's one of the longest fish ladders in Connecticut, and it has a zigzag entrance. The eel ladder is by the entrance, and you'll see it in a moment. But what's important for you to know is that, hold it right there, this bucket right here is how eels are transported above Kinneytown. And what you're going to see is this eel ladder almost never works. And only in 5 years, I've only seen it work once. So we're going to walk down along this ladder, and the eels are supposed to be caught in a net in that blue box, but it's always been broken and non-functional. I only saw it working once. So the eels crawl up between this mess right here and get put into that bucket. Now, all other species, so yeah, stop right there. This is the entrance to the main fish ladder. This was built in 1999. And what you need to know, again, is a fish ladder, to be efficient, should be short and straight. This is neither. This is one of the longest of probably 70 fish ladders in the state of Connecticut. And to make matters worse, it has a zigzag entrance, like a Z. If this dam was built today, it would be required to pass 95% of the fish that are below this dam. And my estimations is it's probably on its best day passing 10%, and probably as little as 1% of the fish trying to get upriver. So go ahead, you can run it. You'll see how long it is. So these are the only two ways to get past, for the fish to get past Kinneytown. These fish are caught in pools. These are in what they call the bypass reach between that ladder and the spillway. As you can see in 2002, none of these fish passed, but these are sea lamprey, and you're going to see this is late at night. I've taken my cameras up to midnight down below the dam to see what's there, and you're going to see that there's a lot of activity, and these fish are struggling to get upriver to spawn. These are all sea lamprey. There was over 200 of them this year, and only 8 of them passed this year up that fish ladder. By the way, there's a camera on that ladder. These are Atlantic salmon below Kinneytown. They're just like a 5-minute walk below that the entrance to the fish ladder, and they're stuck. Those are about 7 to 8 pound fish. This is a salmon right at the base of the spillway. No Atlantic salmon passed that ladder this year. These little eels, they're called elvers, come from 3,000 miles away to migrate into the rivers and live for 10 to 15 years, and then migrate back out into the sea to spawn. Nobody knows where they spawn. They reached $2,000 a pound a couple of years ago. This is a dead end for these baby elvers, where you'll see where it's dry, they fall off once they reach that area. So they climb a vertical wall 20 feet high. No elvers passed in 2020. I've only seen 3 American eels, 1 dead beyond Naugatuck and Waterbury. This was one night this summer. This is where all the fish are. That's just one night. This is the base of the dam. No American eels passed up or down in 2020. These are sea-run trout in the same location. They're pools below that dam. They get stuck there. Go ahead, you can run it. So I separated them in kind of species and the year of 2020. No sea-run trout passed in 2020 this year. This is an American shad, we believe, which is a highly sought after species. And anglers drive 100 miles to fish for these guys. These are striped bass below this, that's the tail race. That's where the fish ladder is. Those are striped bass in that same area. These are smallmouth bass that are underneath slabs of cement and between the rocks at the base of the Kinneytown Dam. No smallmouth bass passed. These are schools of white suckers below the dam. This is where, again, I can't emphasize enough, this is where all the fish are. They're trying to get up to Thomaston. There's all kinds of species down there. This is a bowfin that was trapped down there in a pool below the dam. That's an ancient fish. Now these are grouped, the next slot clips are groups by years. So we don't have enough time to go by species. That's a striped bass in 2015. These are trapped lamprey that are dying below the spillway, trapped between the cement. That's an Atlantic salmon. And these are schools of fish and baby eels below the dam. This, again, this is where all the fish are. This is the problem. They can't get up to the Pretenu Dam Bypass. Those are the numbers of creatures that passed the ladder in 2015. And now we're moving on to 2016. These are sea lamprey. That's the way the ladder was for years. Every year I went down, that's what the ladder looked like. and you're going to see that it's just in disrepair. They simply did not care and maintain it. These are fish jumping at the base of the dam. Again, these are in pools below the dam. These are gizzard shad below the dam. And this is what passed in 2016. The focus is that this ladder never worked, despite what you're led to believe. So these are just pools that dry up, and these creatures are predated. Nothing passed in 2017. This is a rescue of lamprey. That's what was being put in those buckets. Channel catfish, 27 sea lamprey out of a couple of hundred passed the ladder. 1 American shad, no elvers. And now we're in 2019. Again, the fish just pile up at the base of this dam. Those are shad, gizzard shad. Again, it's all trapped. That's why I was able to film this. Despite an abundance of fish, safe, timely, and effective passage, go ahead, has yet to be documented or observed at the Kinneytown Hydro Plant facility. This is what happens to the fish when they can't pass. Those are dead lamprey. The water recedes. Those are elvers being predated on crows. That's lamprey caught in the steel of the dam. The takeaway is it's very hard to witness this. Every time you go down, if I told you to go down to see this, it would probably be gone. It's either eaten or washed away. So the evidence gets washed away very quickly or eaten. This is that wooden ladder where the elvers climb up. They're remarkable creatures. They go underneath that fish ladder, but they also try to climb the face of that wall, that spillway. And these are some shots a little bit more directly, and you have to crawl into there to see them. Those are elvers climbing up the wall. And this is what happens to them. They just get up there and they fall. Now, Rick, I don't know if you want to talk about this plant, but this is 1.2 miles downriver from the Kinneytown, and it is in violation of its exempt license. This plant's supposed to be running, and it hasn't been running since 2012 or 13. It's been abandoned. So we're going to take you in there. The neighborhood kids and everybody goes in and out of this. It's a safety hazard. This plant, again, is supposed to be running through their permanent, and it has a lot to do with the fish passage. It's directly connected.
I'll talk later about the requirements for operation and exemption.
Excuse me, Rick?
I'll talk later about the plant requirements.
Okay.
Who owns the plant?
So it's owned by Enel, which is a power company from Italy. They're one of the largest in the world. I'll answer the question at this point. So you have a plant that is required to operate in order for the dam to maintain its exemption. So it's a federally regulated dam covered by the FERC, but it's exempt from permitting. So its permit doesn't come up like other dams, but it has to meet certain performance criteria. And one of those is that both generating facilities, both the one you saw by the fish ladder and this one downstream in Ansonia, both of them have to operate. And because they don't operate, fewer fish are able to pass. So we'll keep going through this. Kevin, you want to pick back up when we get to the dam?
Yep.
Or I can talk about it. This is the spillway. They're proposing to run more water through to prevent that false attraction back at the dam where water's coming over the spillway, something we're not in favor of. And this just shows you from the plant. That's the reservoir diversion. So this is the dam itself. And we have a separate concern about the condition of this dam. We don't, because it's a federal dam, since the Patriot Act, we no longer get the reports for this dam. And we've questioned with the FERC the condition of the dam. The owner supposedly is filing reports, but what you can see there, that's the face of the dam. Water comes right through it. And I'll be honest with you, living downstream, you can't feel very safe with this thing there. And you'll see the rebar just comes through the supporting steel. It's all washed away.
Who owns the dam?
Kinneytown Hydro Project is owned by Enel, E-N-E-L.
The Italian company?
Italian company, yeah.
They're headquartered in Rome and 40% owned by the Italian government.
So we're at the end of our video here.
In 1987, I remember people coming to me and saying, we've got to decide basically how clean we want the Naugatuck River. What fish do we want to live in the Naugatuck River? And we undertook a survey of the habitat and said, you know something, historically, this river had great runs of anadromous fish, including American shad. We should have shad back in this river. That decision helped drive what standards of water quality then we all of the communities up and down the river sought to achieve. So that was an important part.
So, yeah, Kevin it was a great presentation. I mean, it's incredible evidence. Those of us who've seen more of it are really impressed. But what we're dealing with here is a situation where the dam is not passing fish. As Kevin pointed out, it's not making it up to the Pretenu Dam in Seymour, where substantial amount of money's been expended to get those fish through. So, Kevin, you want to talk about quickly about the counts? I mean, 95% of the fish passing would be hundreds of times what is passing today. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. Now, if that dam, to give you an example, if that dam was to be licensed and built today, Enel would be required to pass 95% of the fish that are below the dam. This dam and the fish ladder, we don't believe ever worked. Probably I think on its best day passed 10%, and I bet you it's probably 1% or less. It's that bad.
So
go ahead.
So I mean, we're continuing to be involved in something that's now called the Kinneytown Coalition. We're involved with Kevin's group, the Naugatuck River Revival Group, and Save the Sound. And there are other partners who are coming on board. We've Aaron Boudris in our office is heading up the project for us. We're meeting with DEEP, meeting with Fish and Wildlife, and we'll be weighing in on the FERC docket in terms of their review of this exemption to operate this plant.
Who's FERC?
I'm sorry, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. They are the regulator of the dam.
And how often do they meet?
Well,
when you say you're on the docket.
So Fish and Wildlife filed a communication with the FERC and asked them to open a formal docket to review. I have to take this out of my ear, I'm getting echo. So a formal docket to review the exempt status of this facility and whether it's in compliance. Right now, what we're talking about is safe, timely, and effective passage of fish through the fish ladder. And they need to demonstrate that they're complying with that requirement as well as their original exemption, which requires that both plants be operating. But honestly, that Ansonia plant looks like it was abandoned in World War II. It's hard to believe it ever ran, but apparently it has not run since when, Kevin? Since they say officially 2013?
Yeah, and it might have been earlier than that.
So what is the ultimate goal here, Rick? Is it to remove the dam? Is it to create a better fish passage? Where are we trying to go with this? If it's not producing electricity and it's not going to produce electricity, then where's the resolution? What are we pushing for?
So it produces some electricity and the plant on the Seymour side, not a lot, probably a half a megawatt at most. It's permitted to run 2 point something, but most of that's on the Ansonia side. Right now, the only thing that we can talk with the FERC about is whether safe, timely, and effective fish passage is occurring. So we'll continue that conversation while they run that docket. But eventually, if the cost of dealing with this issue is outweighs the benefit of generating the power there, then there would have to be a different solution. But right now, we just need them to get the fish passage to a reasonable standard and not what it was in 2012. I mean, we don't think this was properly permitted or approved for fish passage back then when they're citing, very, very small numbers of fish passing through.
Right. Well, it's as illustrated by Kevin.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if the dam were not there, you would have a sea-run fishery that runs to Thomaston.
You're right. You'd have river run.
You'd have salmon, shad, and sea-run trout all the way up Striped Bass.
So is it correct to say the dam was built for the power plants to generate the?
Yeah.
To generate.
And so the one on the Seymour side is generating a half of.
Roughly, that's our best guess.
And the other one is closed.
The other one closed.
Right. And so I'm curious, why is Deep not like going crazy over this?
So
question.
Oh boy,
They go crazy over a car accident, oil spill, and a storm drain.
Yeah.
I think FERC supersedes them in this setting, and that's really where the problem is, and we don't have as much input with FERC. But Eddie, to answer your question, we want all those fish in Naugatuck, Waterbury, Thomaston, all the way up the river.
Of course we do.
So what's the best way to get there? There's some complexities in the process. Naugatuck and Waterbury always have been 1,000% behind Kevin, and we'll continue that. I think for now, what we want is for everyone to recognize how important this is and what it can do for everything, including economic development in the valley, and be supportive. Strategically, someone will have to come up with a game plan to do this lawfully, but it's a process, it's a fight, one worth fighting. Whatever the benefit from that electricity is minimal to them. And what we're losing in the valley is very large. So to me, it's pretty simple, but it's a complicated process.
So my question I have for Kevin is, all right, we understand the plant's closed. We understand the other one is only generating a half a megawatt. That's whatever. Can we do something what would it take to redesign those fish ladders so that they would work? Or is that not possible?
Well, Neil, to answer your question, I'm going to actually address Ed's question about and combine them.
Okay.
The answer to your question is it may be possible, but it's up to Enel to come up with the design and execute it. And then get back into why hasn't Deep done anything. It would be up to Deep and Fish and Wildlife to make an approval, but it's not your position or Deep or Fish and Wildlife to come up with a particular solution. That company needs to do it. Now, back to your to dovetail it into Ed's question, is that Fish and Wildlife and our strategy is Fish and Wildlife and Deep are the tip of the spear that goes to FERC. And we follow. We need your support behind Deep and Fish and Wildlife. We need you guys to poke at them, if you will, using a nice phrase, to make sure that they actually do their job to try to get proper, safe, timely, and effective fish passage. Beyond that, it's up to the company. So Neil, to answer your question, it's up to them. They have to do that. That's part of their permit. So there may be solutions, but what they've been doing is avoiding and ducking. They're like somebody that doesn't pay their mortgage and just hopes the bank doesn't knock on their door. And you guys are the bankers that should knock on their door because it's affecting all your constituents. And you know, so it's a complex thing, and we've hired, you know, we've gotten lawyers and stuff, Save the Sound, the COG, and we've opened up FERC's eyes to this problem. That's the first step. And getting that docket and to reopen the license, because it was an exempt license. It's rare to have this ever done. I don't even know if it's been done, but they've opened up a sub docket, whether they open up a totally different docket, and we become the interveners and make sure that safe, timely, and effective fish passage happens and the safety of the dam.
Jeff, if I could be recognized.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Where's our congressional candidates, you know, down in Congress and stuff? Should they be involved in this and put pressure from the federal level down there?
Well, that's a fair question, but I have another question. Janine is on the phone, so we'll get to Janine in just a second. But to dovetail in with Jeff's question, Janine, I'm wondering, or Kevin, I'm wondering, where does EPA fit in all this?
The EPA is not playing a role in here because it's the agencies that have what they call prescriptive authority to demand of NL they're in charge of the safety of fish and wildlife. So it's really the agencies of Deep and Fish and Wildlife here. I've explored the EPA issue, but EPA could come in because of the impoundment behind the dam. So there might be other arrows in the to be put in the quiver. So that's a really good question.
Have we had an audience with EPA on this?
So Mayor, if I may, Interior is the lead on this. EPA is not the lead. The FERC is the regulator. So Interior through Fish and Wildlife has gotten the FERC to open this document and review this situation. The assumption is that if we all weigh in, if we all continue to participate in this docket, that the FERC will issue prescriptive orders for this operator and for this dam. But it's the Department of the Interior through Fish and Wildlife or the proper ones. We're in touch with them. We've already met with Fish and Wildlife on this. We've met with Deep, and our conversation with Deep was basically that, I mean, they talk directly to this company, and they have for the last decade. If I can characterize what went on, I think Fish and Wildlife finally got tired of getting a runaround from the operator, and that's why they had the docket filed. They thought, I think in the public docket, it says Fish and Wildlife thought it would be better to seek a resolution through the formal FERC process.
So, okay, so let's move again over to our Congress. Has Murphy Blumenthal, Johanna, and Delora been involved in this?
We have not pulled them in yet, but I know that Kevin has done some outreach over time with them. The coalition is just coming together now. We are doing outreach.
But that's an integral part of this, and it's necessary, definitely.
So I'm sorry, Rick, and I don't know the answer to the docket.
Sure.
The docket date.
I don't know if Aaron, do you have the docket information in front of you?
Yeah, I think right now there's another 30 days where FERC is waiting for more information about the dam safety from NL. And I think after that, they will make a decision whether or not to open it further and either, issue guidance or something to NL. So, we do have a little bit of time, and I think we're using that time to, sort of grow this coalition and get more information out to you guys and to the public.
Hey, Neil, can I jump in here for a second? Neil, on November 30th, we, the Naugatuck River Revival Group, in conjunction with Save the Sound, is making a formal filing of our findings, our evidence, and our concerns, and that's due. We've told them that we will have it on in their e-file by November 30th. So the clock is ticking for us, and we're submitting video and photographic and log observation documents to the FERC to enhance Fish and Wildlife and DEEP's concerns. But we need Fish and Wildlife and DEEP to really step up in this process, because FERC will ultimately listen to Fish and Wildlife. That's their default position. So they're in the power business, if you will, but the scale of things. So I guess the best way to put it is Kinneytown is providing too little power at too high a price to make an asset for the state of Connecticut or ISO New England. It is significantly contributing to the destruction of the valuable cold water fishery within Western Long Island Sound. The dam, which has never had fully functioning fish passage facilities, blocks any further restoration of the Naugatuck River. So that's where we're at. So in the docket, we have a very significant filing that we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks.
And who is representing us?
As a COG.
So the COG is part of
Nobody.
the COG is part of the coalition, and the COG is in the process of engaging counsel to represent us on this particular issue. Our regular counsel has a conflict and is unable to represent us in this matter. So we've found someone who we think is appropriate to work in the federal regulatory field on this and has experience with this. I'm going to be having a Zoom conference with them on Tuesday, I think, sometime this week.
And who is that?
He is attorney Ronald Shems. He's in Montpelier, and he's someone who's experienced dealing with this. It was a recommendation from other attorneys from Save the Sound and from Kevin's group.
So Janine, are you on the call? Janine?
I am. Good morning. I've been taking notes that I'll bring back to our legislative team. If there's any possibility that, we can take a look at any of the federal documents associated with this project or this company, we'll certainly do so.
Yeah, Janine, that's why I had put the docket number up on the screen.
Yep. 6985005. I've got it. Is there a particular contact at DEEP or Fish and Wildlife that you've been working with consistently?
Fish and Wildlife, you can talk to Melissa Grader, Grader. There's a staff attorney who is also involved. His name is Andrew Titler.
To that end, Rick, would it be beneficial and worthwhile for us to invite someone from Fish and Game to a future COG meeting to have, indicate our concerns regarding this and perhaps get them to spearhead a little bit more with FERC?
Yeah, we can invite them, sure. I don't.
Mayor, would you think that a good idea?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would think there would be a couple of good ideas. One is what you just suggested. Two is, I feel a little bit like, there were so many different things going on in our lives. So we've talked about this for quite a while, but
We
it
have.
doesn't seem like we've been able to generate the support that we need politically. And, I feel like we need to start talking more to, listen, Katie Dykes, what does Katie Dykes know about this, Kevin?
That's a concern of mine. I think she should be made aware of that right now. And we're gonna have a strategy session at 1 o'clock today, and we'll address that. I think even Ned Lamont, I say, everybody should be aware. This is a big deal. This would be one of the biggest restoration projects in all of Connecticut right now. And you're right. And with all the negative things in 2020, this is a good thing. This is a really good project. Even though I've presented a problem, we have a solution. We know we have a strategy, and we're working the strategy. And we would appreciate Congresswoman Hayes and Rosa DeLaura and Murphy and Blumenthal to join us and like Ed said, put a little bit of pressure to make sure that Fish and Wildlife and DEEP do their best job here and not just pass it, and make it easy for that company NL, because they've been putting this stuff off for a long time. And
1 second. Okay, Kev, hold on. I want to recognize Alan Graham. Alan is here, representing Senator Blumenthal. Alan?
Hi, yes, thank you. I came in a little late, but I am definitely going to bring this back to my legislative team, and I'll be talking to Janine about what we can do on the Senate and House side. So thank you for bringing this to my attention.
Okay. Mayor Loretti.
Yes, I want to share with everyone an experience I had with FERC not too long ago that Mayor Dunn can attest to, because I brought him to Washington with me. We had an issue with the dam in Shelton, the hydroelectric plant, the fish ladder, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I've listened to the whole conversation on my way up here today, and I think we're chasing our tail by trying to reach out to all these different agencies around the state. I think you need to set up a meeting with FERC in Washington and explain the situation to them. I did that and I had tremendous success. I think many times that they're the responsible party here. They have the direct oversight, not anybody else. You can scream from the rooftop all you want, but they're the key. So if someone goes to Washington and meets with them, and your congressional delegation can set that up, because they did for me a year and a half ago, and we had tremendous success. I spent a half hour with them, and at the end of the meeting, they said, well, I think that's our position too. We agree.
So what did they do about it?
They agreed.
Did the problem get
The problem got resolved.
It did.
The problem got resolved, yes.
Well, then that's really good advice.
I think many times, Mayor, that they're just detached and they don't understand, and they're getting bits and pieces.
I totally agree with what you just said, and you have the data and the evidence to support it. I would still, obviously the federal delegation's got to be involved, and by setting up the meeting, but they will be involved. But I would still, when I work and see what Connecticut DEEP has been doing, I think that, we should at least get Commissioner Dykes, ask her to send a representative from DEEP down to the meeting and that we set up in Washington, Mark.
Well, when I went, it was Mayor Dunn, myself, and they had 14 people there. 14.
I know, I recognize.
You had them outnumbered.
I recognize that, but it's a river that's, all this is impacting Connecticut and all of the valley. So
I listened to the whole discussion. I'm on board.
I'm with you.
I am on board.
Certainly many voices can't hurt.
No,
right.
I agree, Mark. Obviously, we'll pursue that, but we're going to pursue it locally, regionally, at the COG, at the state level, the federal level, with Kevin's group. We're all in. We got to get to fish in the river.
Get a meeting
Mayor
with
Loretti,
in Washington.
Mayor
I'll
Loretti,
love to go to
what we're
Washington.
doing with this filing is to to show them, so we put it all together so they do have a better understanding.
No, I agree. Kevin, do you have a, is this meeting being recorded, Rick?
Yep. Yes, it is.
So Janine, what we would ask you and Ellen and, get a copy of this meeting and maybe you can, edit it the way you feel it's necessary so that you can get it over to your bosses and then give them a heads up. But I mean, seriously, I think we have a real obligation to do this. I think we're dancing around this too much. I mean, not you, Kevin, but maybe all of us together.
I think it's an easy
Can
one.
do more.
Mayor, it's just one other thing I don't want us to lose sight of, and that's this. The FERC may deal with the fish passage, they may deal with, we are concerned and we want to chase through the dam safety issue.
Yes.
Because we think that's in incredibly bad shape and could be at risk. If that water breaks, it's going to end up at Shelton and East Derby. And it's a channel all the way down to the Army Corps built from there. So it could be a very dangerous thing. We want to make sure that they chase the dam safety issue beyond the fishery issue.
Rick, I agree with you. I heard a lot about fish, but that dam structure, that would never be allowed from the dams. We have to monitor and keep track of local dams and stuff. There's no way that dam would pass muster.
I agree with you, Jeff. Okay.
I gotta spend, to that point, I gotta spend $1 million on Nystrom's dam, okay?
It's easier too.
And there's nothing wrong with it, but I gotta spend $1 million. This dam is
Oh, that's what we're
totally.
gonna do.
You said you.
Mayor Ed St. John here. Could I weigh in for a minute?
Of course, Ed.
Having been a Naugatuck native and grew up on the banks of the Naugatuck River when it used to change colors, Pete. Mayor, you remember those days? It used to change colors. The only thing I got to say is thank God for Kevin Zak, because this is another thing that's gone on for years. Long before you people even became members of COG, this has been discussed. And always it was discussed and then went away. Problem what we need to do is to establish some priorities and bring them up at every meeting. With this on the list, rail service to the Naugatuck Valley, and where we're going with a solid waste crisis that we're going to be facing within years, okay? This is what we need to be talking about. We have plenty of legislative muscle. And for Kevin to tell me we built a dam, a fish ladder that was designed improperly, apparently, where are our people? We spent millions of dollars. This is throughout the state of Connecticut. We're spending all this money and they don't work. Shameful, shameful. Wasted of taxpayers' money. Shameful. Kevin, thank you for your hard work. The COG needs to make those 3 priorities on our agenda every single meeting.
You're welcome, Ed.
I agree. And that's why the Middlebury residents voted Ed St. John to keep running. Damn right, Ed.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. My residents are important, but our well-being is beyond our residents, and the valley is extremely important to our community. And we've been talking about rail service. We've been talking about the environment in the Naugatuck River. And it wasn't for people like Kevin Zak and many of our elected officials who have worked over. We need to make this a priority. A1, let's go. Let's get it done, folks.
You got it.
Mary, a public comment.
Okay, Kevin, thank you. We're pretty well into the morning here, so we got to roll. But I want to thank you again. And Kevin, will you please reach out to me? I want to talk to you about a couple of things, maybe later this afternoon.
Will do. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, Kevin. Thanks. Okay. For those members of the public that are still hanging around that would like to address the board, would you let us know who you are so we can recognize you? We have an agenda. What do we got?
So we have one person signed up in advance, which is David Murphy. David?
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me speak briefly. Most of you know me from the hazard mitigation plan. I work for the company Mylone and McBroom, and we've been bugging you over the past few weeks about that project. I'm here just briefly about the Resilient Connecticut project, which is another thing that we're working on. We're under contract with CIRCA, which is our state's resilience agency. You've probably heard of them before. And you may think that CIRCA mostly works on coastal projects. And while that has been the case, the Resilient Connecticut project that they're working on right now involves all of New Haven and Fairfield counties, all the way up to Waterbury. So a really good example of the kind of resilience project that they're going to be looking for to further develop would be Meriden Green. So many of you have heard about Meriden Green, used to be called Meriden Hub. It's a stream daylighting, flood mitigation project, lots of new buildings around that are built to withstand flooding. So that's the kind of model for what CIRCA is looking for in the inland communities. And so we want to make sure that we stay engaged with the NVCOG going forward. This is our first time on your board meeting agenda. We're not even really on the agenda, but going forward, we'll be hopefully have a standing item so we can give you updates along the way. The COGs are the four COGs are directly working with CIRCA, and we're just the consultant, so we'll be helping out, but we want to make sure that the COGs are also reaching out to the towns. This is one way to do it, by getting in these board meetings. So I'll see you again in December with more information. I think it's December 11th is your next meeting, if I'm not incorrect. In the meantime, there is a resilience summit that CIRCA is putting on next week, November 20th, Friday. It's free, of course. Most of the programs are free. So if you want to hear more about it in detail, you can attend the summit on the 20th. But otherwise, I'll be back in December to give you more information about the project.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Murphy?
Next, we have Samantha Lebron from Eversource.
Samantha?
Hey everyone. Myself and Hetty just have a quick update from Eversource. Me personally, the communities that I serve are already aware, but this will be my last COG meeting for a couple months because I'm expecting my first child in less than 4 weeks. So I'll be on maternity leave, but everyone who I work with from my towns will be Hetty Ayers, who's also part of the meeting today. She'll be taking over for me during the 3 to 4 months. So I just wanted to make sure everyone had a face to the name. She's been at the COG meetings before, but you guys are going to be in great hands during my absence. And I will see you all in April, but Hetty has the official Eversource update. So I just want to say, I'll see you all soon.
All right, good. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My announcement is not as exciting, but it is important. I just wanted to make sure that everyone around the room and on the phone was aware that the enrollment period for our COVID-19 payment plan was extended recently. The deadline originally was November 1st, and it has been extended to February 9th of 2021. In general, while we're encouraging our customers to call our company to make sure that if they qualify for any of our hardship programs, but if they don't qualify for hardship, they can still sign up for the COVID-19 payment plan. And just some highlights about that particular plan. It's available to any customer requesting financial assistance without demonstrating financial need. It does not require an initial or a down payment. It can be up to 24 months in length. It waives fees or interest in the calculation of the monthly payment amount, and it facilitates the repayment of the past due balances in addition to the customer's current monthly bill. And perhaps most importantly, any customer that is enrolled in the COVID-19 payment program who is current with their payment terms cannot be disconnected even once the shutoff moratoriums have concluded. So I just wanted to give another plug for that. Obviously, we're advertising this in many medias, but just wanted to make sure that the folks around the table were aware of this recent extension. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Hetty. Anyone have any questions for Hetty? Okay. Thank you. Anybody else from the public that wishes to address the board? Oh, wow, we're having technical problems here.
Just want to tell you something.
Okay. Anyone else from the public that would like to address the board?
Nope, no others signed up.
Okay, thank you. Item agenda 2, CNVMPO meeting.
Hi. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to put forth a resolution today, 2021-07, and this is a TIP amendment that will cover the highway sign replacement program. And what it does is it moves funding from FY20 to FY21. And this project encompasses CTDOT districts 1 and 4, which span the entire CNVMPO region.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
How about item agenda 2B as in boy?
Christian?
Good morning. Thank you. This is, as you may recall from last meeting, the safety performance measures. This is a federal requirement that the MPO passes every year. The big difference with the targets being put forth this year is that CTDOT has taken a more aggressive stance, which better lines up with the state and regional planning goals of 0 fatalities and injuries. For this reason, therefore, the staff recommends endorsement of CNVMPO Resolution 2021-08.
Okay, motion.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
NVCOG administrative items. Approval of the minutes from the October 9th, 2020 NVCOG CNVMPO meeting. Motion.
So moved.
I was not present.
Second.
Second anyway, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
An abstention on my behalf.
Abstention on the behalf of First Selectman Moan. Item agenda 3B, approval of agency financial reports. Michael?
Thank you. Hopefully all you can hear me from this end of the table. We are 25% through the year. The report is through September 30th. The bottom line is 183,000. I would like to note though that the financial report I sent out had an error in the direct pass-through. I double counted some direct expenses, so it looked like we had more money as the bottom line, but it's actually 183. And that's mainly because the dues paid up front, and as a result, the revenue stayed higher, and it'll trickle down throughout the year. We did receive funding for our COVID-19 work from OPM, only for March through June of last fiscal year. It's about $80,000 will be counted towards last fiscal year. However, we did not receive any of the CFR COVID recovery work for July 1st to December 31st of this current fiscal year.
Are we eligible for any?
We applied, we got denied. Rick,
We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything in your report that you would like to bring to our attention?
There's nothing else significant.
Okay, thank you.
Motion.
So moved. Approved as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bob
Okay.
Chap, you can have the floor. Bob Chap, you can have the floor.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
You approve the minutes, although I made several motions and seconds on the roll call of last month's meeting, I was not shown as present.
Well, we'll correct that.
Okay, I even had to climb up the freaking stairs.
The elevator wasn't working.
Yeah, but that was
I was
good.
here. I was a witness.
That's good for those lungs of yours, buddy. All right. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for letting us know. Item agenda 3C, approval of NVCOG meeting schedule for 2021. Anybody have any? All right.
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Beautiful. Item agenda 3D, approval of NVCOG holiday schedule.
moved. Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
E, approval of MOU between NVCOG and Valley Transit District. Rick?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, so you don't have to take this up today if you don't want to. It'd be great if you did, but we didn't have the final copy in time to distribute with the agenda, so you only got this a day or yesterday, I believe. This is the MOU to run the FTA program. It just outlines the roles and responsibilities between Valley Transit and this board and this agency, and Valley Transit will also have to pass the same resolution at their board of directors. So it's up to you. If you want to take it up today, if you want to wait for December, either or is fine.
This is a requirement to do annually.
Well, we had to update it because the old agreement still said VCOG, and we got cited for it in the review this year. So they didn't accept our covering resolution.
Rick, did you want to ask Mayor O'Leary if he wants to add Waterbury Transit to that as well?
That's not within our power.
Okay.
So you're the president of it, am I correct?
The chairman, yeah.
Or the chairman, all right. Now, what do you suggest here? Do you see moving forward at this point in time as something, I'd be comfortable with it. I'm asking you because you're intricately involved.
Yeah, this is kind of boilerplate, and it's something we've been doing for years. It's not new. I don't know, you made some changes only in definition alone, right?
We updated things to just conform to new regulations, but the document was worked out between Mark Nielsen and Mark Pandolfi at Valley Transit, and then our attorneys went through it.
I wouldn't hold it up. I would move forward.
I would think so too. So our attorneys had a chance to look at it all?
That's what we're waiting for, the final copy from the attorneys. That's what we got. That's what you have.
And this is it?
That's it.
I move on the MOU that we enter into that agreement as a COG.
Second.
That bill.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Director's report, Rick.
Okay, I'm gonna swap out the legislative agenda since I have not been able to meet with CPCOG, and that's the legislative agenda statewide for the COGs. We are going to start with a bill that died of COVID last March. We're in the middle of the session. It was a raise in planning and development 5517 that deals with the COGs and our statutory roles. So we hope to pick that up, and we'll be meeting with the appropriate legislators. I hope to report back with the agenda items next month. In terms of COVID funding, so we were funded out of the CARES Act funds for months or the time from March until June. We were reimbursed for that. That was approved by the secretary, and we were reimbursed. The COGs have not been funded for the first 6 months of fiscal year 21. So July to December, we're not receiving funding. We are doing a substantial amount of work and effort that we're allowed to charge to our state RSG program. We've also applied, myself, Lyle Ray, and our staff, and Matt Folda at MetroCog. We assembled the state economic development application for COVID recovery to EDA. So it's a roughly $10 million application covering the entire state. We will share in those funds, and depending upon when EDA finally approves the application, the governor had encouraged a single application from Connecticut. There could have been 20 applications. We did one application. We are in a cooperative effort with DECD, with Advanced CT, and with the COGs, as well as the Homeland Security regions who we're working through for COVID recovery. So as soon as that's approved, probably February, the money will start to flow, and then that will fund the COVID recovery activities of the COGs for the next 2 years, as well as those other agencies. It's a 24-month grant. We're receiving a couple $100,000 under that, Michael, over the 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, $220,000 should flow to.
Who will be administering it, Rick?
So we put it in Capital Region's name. So Capital Region is going to be the primary administrator. All of us will be sub-recipients of Capital Region. There is a co-applicant, which is the Global Resilience Institute at Northeastern University. So they're sort of our consultant on this statewide, and they've already been meeting with the regional recovery committees. So John Field is with us today. He and Joanna will try and touch on some of that when they get in the Homeland Security report later on, emergency management report. Unless there are any questions on COVID money, I'll move on. Brownfield land bank bylaws. So we're still working on revision of bylaws to change the board of directors composition on the land bank. I don't have a document from the attorneys yet. I will, as soon as I have a draft, we'll start to circulate that. We are administering the program though under the MOU. The Cobb County equivalency. So the feds have announced that they're going to adopt, I think in 2023, COGs as county equivalents. So the numbers will be aggregated by COG region instead of by counties in Connecticut going forward. There's a publication in the Federal Register going in this week. We're working with OPM and the planning regions in support of this. We may be contacting some of you or all of you to do individual letters of support. The COG itself has already endorsed it. So, but that's something that's published in the Federal Register right now. We do have a Q&A document on that if anyone's interested. Lauren, was there anything else I was supposed to talk about?
I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. That is my report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I'm still thinking about that Kinneytown Dam. I'm gonna be thinking about that all weekend now. 2020 census update, Richard?
That would be me.
Okay.
Good morning. I wanted to provide all of you a review of the 2020 census, as this topic has been important for the past 3 years and will continue to affect us for the next 10. My brief summary right now will just cover what's in your packet in hope of some use for the 2030 census. The 2020 census officially ended on October 15th with many issues up until then and a little after. Overall, the municipalities and the regions surpassed the 2010 self-response rate as seen in the table on the screen. The self-response rate is the only rate that is publicized that is broken down at the local level. All other data is provided at the state level. And currently the state of Connecticut is at 99.9%, but more on that shortly. The main highlights of the review are how important it was to involve community members and having them promote participation in the census. And at the same time, it was also beneficial to have regular access to municipal staff to aid in the promotion and sharing of ideas. The next item I want to cover is proxy counting. This was the method the Census Bureau used to count households that did not self-respond nor speak to an enumerator. The total rate numbers look good due to this methodology of proxy counting, which was basically using outside resources and guessing. Further details on this are in your packet. And lastly, the apportionment counts will be submitted to the president on December 31st, 2020. And by April 1st, 2021, the redistricting counts will be sent to the states for redrawing districts. Any questions?
I have a question, Richard.
Yes, sir.
So we're all in the 70s plus or minus. When I read those stories in the paper saying the country is at 99%, what's the difference between the 72 and the 99?
So these are your self-response rates, the people who responded by going online, calling the hotline, or mailing in the paper. What is not available at the local level is who got counted by talking to an enumerator, someone knocking on your door, going to an event, that way.
Well, but when the federal government says that nationally 99% have responded by both, are you
Correct.
saying that all of our numbers go up to 99 on average?
But that's when I bring up the proxy vote, proxy counting, because it doesn't mean you actually got physical counts. It means you got some guessing going on and some estimates.
Yeah, so we have a lot of homes with like 8 people in it and they're counting it at 2.
Correct. Could be. It's a possibility.
Well, it happened last time and
Sure.
it's going to happen this time.
Yes.
But to be clear to your original question, this does not include people who were contacted door to door.
And this is a better guide to who got counted rather than.
So they're saying every door got knocked on, but we don't really know what we wound up with.
Correct.
All right.
But these are hard numbers.
So when will we get the total numbers?
We will only get total numbers for the state. We will not get total numbers for the.
No, he needs the actual demographic information we're talking about, right?
That, those should be available in June, I think.
I mean, you know, I see those, but then the numbers that the enumerators reached out to.
Oh, those are that's only available at the state level. It would not be broken down by municipality.
Yeah. So I had a weird experience with these enumerators.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we have a lot of hard to count areas, obviously. Yeah. And so we asked, you know, first we asked for, you know, give us locations. Can't do it. Then we asked, well, just give us general locations. Can't do it. Then we asked, can you give us anything? Can't do it. Well, how are we supposed to help?
Can't much.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
There you go. Good answer.
There is a map in your packet that is reflects the self-response rate down to the census tract level. So hopefully you could use this as a guide to your low response this time to hopefully hit those tracks next time.
But if you look at the lower responses, it really comes down to two things: the really urban areas and the really rural areas.
Yeah.
Those are the two that they have trouble counting.
So everything comes down to in today's world.
But the federal government, yeah, that's why we're so divided. So the federal government, you know, is so concerned about confidentiality that they scare the pants off these enumerators, and the enumerators are afraid to tell you anything, which is saddening to me.
We couldn't even keep the address list. We had
Yeah.
to send it back. We can't use it for any other purpose.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. Anybody have any more questions? No. Item agenda.
Mayor Ed St. John here.
Oh, Edward.
I think the region should commend themselves because when I look at what we did in 2010 with the pandemic and I look at the responses from our people, big thumbs up.
No wonder they keep you out there, Middlebury.
I'm talking throughout the region, Mayor.
That glass is always half full, Ed. I love it. Thank you. Item agenda 5, emergency management update. Joanna.
And she's joined by John Field.
John Field.
Yes, good morning. Thank you. And I just want to turn the floor over to John Field and he can give you the update. Even though he's representing Region 5, a lot of his update applies to all of our towns.
Okay, John Field, as you all know, is the regional coordinator for Regional Emergency Response Team, Region 5. Go ahead, John.
Good morning, Mayor and everyone else, and thank you for the opportunity. Just give you a little update on what's going on here with COVID. As you can imagine, we're in the middle of a sort of a resurgence here, and there's a lot going on. We continue to work. I'll try to make this as quick as possible, but there's a lot of good information that needs to be covered. So we continue to work on surge planning with the hospitals and our long-term care facilities. Many of the facilities that we had originally opened in March and April were still in existence. We had closed the doors, but the equipment and everything was still stayed in those facilities. So they are now looking at a game plan on how and if they have to, what they'll do to reopen those facilities. As you know, we continue to, the governor's office continues to set forth executive orders in regards and in response to our COVID activity level. With those orders comes additional guidelines, and with those additional guidelines comes many time need for interpretation from our office the best we can. I think right now we're up to 9L or something like that in regards to executive orders. So we continue to field those calls. There is an effort, a real big effort, and probably some of the reason why we see a surgence in our cases. We continue to try to enhance our testing capabilities and open additional testing sites. Specifically, been working with the city of Waterbury, city of Torrington, and trying to assure that the testing sites that they do have up are adequate, and if they're not, how we get additional testing resources into those particular two areas, as well as Danbury's been doing a tremendous amount of testing also in that area. We also continue to work on vaccination planning. At some point in the real near future, we do plan on receiving vaccinations. And we are planning on how we distribute that and the most effective way to distribute that. And you know, you should have gotten something, you or your EMD should have gotten a notification from your Department of Public Health in regards to identifying critical workforce. And this is all part of that. And then the other part is vulnerable population. So, and you know, that sounds really easy to do that, but when we put out the definition of what critical workforce and vulnerable population are, they're kind of vague. So, and it leaves some room for interpretation of, you know, what does that mean? Because we can include a whole bunch of people. You know, when we were first starting this, you know, Stop and Shop employees were considered essential employees. So now are they part of the critical workforce? You know, that kind of thing. So we continue to try to plan that out and see how we can, you know, better distribute the vaccination when it comes. And also, as you guys are probably aware, some of these vaccinations are going to require some pretty extensive logistical support. So the vaccine coming out of Pfizer that we've heard good success about obviously requires refrigeration storage, which, you know, we're not talking, if we're going to store like thousands of these vaccines, you know, some of these public health facilities do not have that capacity to store that. So we are planning on that, and then also the logistical support of what's needed to supply. And one of the requirements of that vaccination also is you need 2 of them. You need 2 shots within a 21-day period, which again causes some challenges and some logistical planning. So we continue to work on that. We're really trying to push and enhance the community impact tracking. With this surgence, we are trying to really keep track of, especially our first responder agencies, in regards to, you know, where they stand, if they're being affected by, you know, the virus, and if they are effective, to what extent. So we're really pushing your EMDs and your first responders to try to continue to update the community impact tracking board on our web EOC. Also, as you guys well know, there is a map out that was developed by DPH in regards to colors, yellow, orange, and red. So those particular municipalities that are under 10% are in the yellow, 10 to 15% are in the orange, and anything above 15%, we are in the red. So, and this particular, every week that gets updated on Thursday. And this week we had over 100 municipalities that were in the red. And that's all based on 100,000 population, which they have the calculations figured for those folks that do not have 100,000 people in their particular towns. So with that, also they've come out with an app just yesterday. They've developed an exposure app, so people can actually put this app on their phones and have an idea of, you know, their exposure vulnerability, I'll call it. So that came out. Also recently came out with some information in regards to messaging to your population and your constituents, and utilizing it, especially when you get into the red areas, utilizing the Everbridge messaging and doing town-wide messaging. So there's information that went out, protocol on how to do that, that went out recently. We also are working on a Farms to Family, phase 4 of the Farms to Family food box. This particular phase 4 came with a reduction in the amount of food that's coming into the state. In phase 3, we had 40 trailers a week. In phase 4, we only have 10. So there's a considerable reduction. So that's really leaving 2 trailers per region. One of the other requirements that sort of took us out of the regional concept that we were doing out of Bethlehem Fairgrounds with the pantries, the delivery has to go to a 501(c) organization. So in this particular region, we're working with the Danbury Food Consortium, the Waterbury Mayor's Office, and PAL, Maureen, And then we're also working with New Opportunities, who covers Waterbury and Torrington. So them are the 3 501(c)(3) organizations we'll be working with. So we will not be having a regional distribution point as we did in the past up at the Bethlehem Fairgrounds. So these 3 organizations will organize the multiple trailers that come into the region and actually get them out to as many pantries as possible. So let's see, we also, a lot of information coming out in regards to, we're trying to, our ESF 15, or our public information office here at the state level, is working and trying to do a local interface. So what they're doing is trying to identify the regional and local public information folks, so that they can basically have messages that are similar in nature, which is something we've learned at the beginning. There was messages going out from different organizations that weren't really coordinated and collaborated, and caused some confusion. So they're working on that. Also, many of your municipalities have been, once you go into a red, we're doing a COVID alert meeting on Thursdays. And then also on Fridays, we are doing a follow-up with some enforcement training. That will not be happening anymore. What they're doing is, the governor has decided he will do a weekly municipal conference call now instead of a bi-weekly. Plan on getting some information regarding the weekly calls on Wednesday. And what he will do is, he will incorporate into those weekly conference calls the status, the mapping and the case rate status into that meeting, as well as some possible enforcement training if needed. So there will be weekly governor's conference calls. We continue to try to plan if we're going to have to set up. Our warehouse has established a 90-day supply for PPE if needed. So they've asked the regions to look at possible pods for winter operations, which sounds easy, but when you're using the Bethlehem Fairgrounds, there's no heat, and obviously brings some different challenges into that in regards to resources. So we're continue to look what our options are in regards to winter operations. And then also we are working on our public assistance folks and FEMA, and obviously OPM with the CARES Act money on the other side, are starting to work with some of the towns to develop project worksheets, and how and what's going to be paid for through FEMA, what's going to be paid for through the CARES Act, and all that kind of stuff. And that work continues to happen. And then last but certainly not least, which we've been doing a tremendous amount of work on long-term recovery, and I'll let Joanna elaborate on that. I can't express enough the support we have received from our COGs in this region, the 3 COGs, Naugatuck Valley, Northwest Hills, and Connecticut West COG. Obviously, they have done tremendous work in regards to working long-term recovery. We have a regional long-term recovery team that has been developed and identified, and there's subcommittees off of that. And the goal is to try to identify as many unmet needs as possible. And I can't encourage enough your municipalities to develop your local long-term recovery teams, and start to discuss that. And then, identifying those needs, and then if there's resources that can fill those needs at the local level, and if not, how it gets passed up. So we've worked with, I think Rick mentioned it before, GRI, and some of the other people that have been assigned to work on this project. So we continue to do that. But Joanna herself has pretty much run the show as far as long-term recovery is concerned, and she's done a phenomenal job. So I'll let her elaborate. Just a couple last things, not COVID related. EMPG, Emergency Management Performance Grant, has come out with a supplemental option for monies. And I think it's up to $5,000, 100% reimbursement for any COVID expenditure, something to look at. I've been sending out information. I resent it out yesterday after the Northwest Hills COG meeting. They asked me to resend it, so you got it again yesterday. Tropical Storm Isaias, the status on that public assistance, we are still awaiting confirmation of signature for the major disaster declaration at the federal level. So I believe, I get told it's sitting on the president's desk. So you can imagine where that sits in the pile of papers right at the moment. So we continue that. The drought status is still being monitored. Thank you all for responding with your municipal water authorities. We'll continue to watch that. At least we've had some rain that has actually reduced some of the drought concerns, but we're still 10 inches in spots below on rain level. We're still doing school plans. And then, we do have a Connecticut DPH OEMS new Region 5 coordinator who I met with yesterday, her and her boss, and we're actually getting acclimated to her. She'll be working with us in the region on some OEMS issues. That's all I have, but I'm going to turn it over to Joanna so she can, elaborate a little bit on the long-term recovery.
John, before you go, I have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
As far as the vaccinations, and I hear what you're saying, the 2 vaccines under the Pfizer plan. What is the should we be starting to look for refrigeration opportunities for that?
So Mayor, great question, and yes, because I think it's going to fall back on your local public health folks, whoever represents your, I know Waterbury Public Health system will be the one that's required to do that. But if you can assist them in any way in that storage capacity, obviously they'll be very thankful for that. Because we're not sure how many vaccinations are coming into the state. And so we really don't know the exact capacity yet. But once we find out how many vaccinations are coming in, we'll have a better idea on what we're going to need as far as refrigeration and requirements. And I say refrigeration, it's more freezing. These are cryogenics, they call them. So what happens is they have to be kept at a very low temperature. So, it's not your normal refrigerator type thing.
Yeah. Like, what is that temperature? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I just been told it's very cold. So
okay, if you could do me a favor and get that, because I was thinking this morning that we should start reaching out to our freezer, folks and see, because I think I read it somewhere, but like most things lately, I can't remember what it was, but it was really cold.
-2.
-2.
Celsius.
-2 Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's I know it's very, very cold. It's got to be kept out. I don't know the exact temperature, but I'd be happy to find it out.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So to dovetail on that, because I was thinking along the same lines, Mayor John, is Demis looking into securing any of those kinds of refrigeration units? Is there any thought process involved in that? Do we have any funding to do so if necessary in this region of the state?
So I'll be totally honest with you, Ed. What's happening right now is they are everybody's pushing to the next department all the cost, so to speak, and that's what's happening because there's no money. Well, I shouldn't say that. Everyone's hoping that things get reimbursed by FEMA, but if you've talked to FEMA about some of the cost associated with this, you're finding that the coverage is very limited on what they're covering. So it becomes a little bit of a challenge. And I will tell you, we're working with DPH. Again, DPH is the lead on this, and we'll work with them the best we can to identify, what the needs will be when they identify what they are. So, if DPH comes to us and asks us to identify some refrigeration options, we're definitely prepared to do that. But right at the moment, they're trying to figure out how they're going to pay for this. I'll be honest with you. That's what it is.
Understood.
Yep.
Do we have any capacity presently?
No, sir.
In this sector of the state, this corner of the state?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, John. And if you could just confirm that temperature and then let me know, I'd be grateful, okay, through Adam?
I will do that. Yep. And I'll find out right after this meeting. Joanna, do you have anything to add on the long-term recovery?
Yeah, thank you. So just wanted to mention that we are meeting our Region 5 Regional Recovery Steering Committee. We're meeting next week, November 18th at 11 a.m. Pretty much we're addressing economic, technical, human services. We also include our community resource coordinators into the call. So we're trying to cover short-term and long-term issues on those calls and on those meetings, those virtual meetings. The GRI and the Crystal Group, they have begun their interviews with what people that have been identified in the local Region 5 community, experts in workforce, public works, and all issues that have been identified for economic resilience and recovery by the Crystal Group. And they are expecting that these interviews are going to be done by Thanksgiving. And hopefully there's going to be a report by mid-December for the state, because as far as the contract goes for phase 1 of the Crystals Group and GRI's work, that ends at the end of December. And also John alluded to it, but there is an unmet needs form that's being developed by the state, and it's getting heavy input from the COGs and also from other regional groups. So that'll be coming up real soon. I guess one thing I just wanted to mention, I was just Googling on the Pfizer vaccine, and obviously get the final word from John Field, but it looks like the particular Pfizer vaccine has to be at -70 degrees Celsius. However, the CDC is advising health departments against purchasing ultra cold freezers, saying that some of the other vaccines may be less demanding of these storage requirements. So I'm going to leave it to John Field with the final word, but it's not just -2 Celsius, it's -70 Celsius.
Yeah, you are correct. You are correct, Joanne. And Aaron also found that information also. So yeah, we're looking at 70 to 80 degrees Celsius below zero. So
I wonder how that's going to feel going in you.
That's not.
there, I've been saying it right along. I'm not going to be first in. I do not want to be first in line for the vaccine. That's for sure.
Hey, I thought it was that. I got some, but then I said, no, I gotta be wrong. And when you said -2, I said, I'm obviously wrong. Oh boy.
I thought it was
All right. Thank you guys. We appreciate all your updates. Keep us in the loop if you can.
If it's possible, I just want to give a two more updates.
Oh, Joanna,
I promise it won't be long. I promise.
I still got Kitty Town Dam on my mind. Joanna. Go ahead.
Those are awesome videos, I have to say. That was just awesome video. So just want to regional emergency planning team for Region 5. There is the CEO meeting next week, Monday. I sent out the meeting agenda and proxy forms if you can attend. I've received proxy forms from Naugatuck and Thomaston, so thank you very much. And also regarding the community emergency response teams, the DEMIS is encouraging a submission of category D, like as in dog, grants for training and equipment. And also this coming Tuesday, November 17th, there's going to be a FEMA webinar on how to encourage a little bit more participation with your CERT teams. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the updates. Great job. Thank you. Okay, everybody. Item agenda 6, NVCOG Planning and Transportation. A, lot SIP approval of NVCOG Resolution 2021-10, award of third-party review for the Beach Road project in Wolcott.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Beach and Boyd, lot SIP approval, NVCOG Resolution 2021-11, North South Main Street and Bank Street reconstruction project, Waterbury.
So
Thank you.
moved. Let's be Christian. Go ahead. Sorry.
All I can say is that this is not all entirely new project. This is breaking off existing improvements from an existing project to create a new project that better fits with ongoing utility work.
Perfect.
Thank you, Christian.
So I seconded it.
We got any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Route 8 and Waterbury Rail Line Corridor, TOD and Alternative Modes Assessment. Mark Nielsen.
Good morning, thank you. Just a quick update. You know, this is a project we've been working on for the last couple of years, and the intent is to assess the need for improvements along the Waterbury Rail Line, as well as other alternative transportation modes within the Route 8 corridor. We are wrapping up the study pretty quickly. We're hoping to get it pretty much done by the end of this year, December 2020. And our big task right now that we are working on is creating a visualization that will basically animate, you know, some of the recommendations and that we're going to be recommending. So just wanted to give a quick update that, you know, that's still ongoing. The CDM Smith is going to be reaching out to all of the host communities along the rail line to roll out a TOD build out tool that they've been working on. And what it's intended to do is to allow communities to enter in some information regarding you know, acreage and square footage that they're looking at building. And then that will estimate how many, you know, the effects of that kind of development will be. And we're also looking at, from that new residential development that's going to be close to the train stations, how much additional ridership we may be getting. So CDM is going to be reaching out to the host communities, and so that's something they're going to be working on. I think they're targeting later November, early December to do that work. But just a quick update, it's moving along, and like I said, we're hoping to wrap up by the end of December, and then rolling out the final reports early next year, and then holding some public information meetings to present the recommendations.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, Mark.
Welcome. Thank you.
Item agenda 7, planning, environmental planning, A, Brownfield and program updates. Regional Brownfield Partnership annual meeting is December 4th, 2020. Leslie?
Hi there, good morning. Just a few updates and announcements. We are going to be hosting the Regional Brownfields Partnership annual meeting. It's going to be on December 4th from 10 to 12 p.m. We sent out a registration link, and we'll continue to send out another one. So you just have to register online. It's going to be on Zoom, and we will have some speakers, including EPA Region 1, someone from the Yukon Brownfields, Connecticut Brownfields Institute, and then someone from DECD about the Transfer Act. And we'll be giving just more program updates and discussing kind of the future programming. So that's the first update. And then the second thing I wanted to mention is that we have been updating the NVCOG Brownfield webpage. We have several pages on the website, including new information about the Regional Brownfield Partnership, and then we've updated the revolving loan fund and assessment pages as well. And you probably got and we have a new newsletter that we had put out earlier this month, and we will be sending out those regularly just to give program updates and new information just about educational opportunities and any other funding information. And so you should be receiving those already, but hopefully if you haven't, we'll make sure you get them. So that's it.
Well, that was quick and easy. Any questions for Leslie? Okay, thank you, Leslie.
We can skip the rest of environmental planning. We already covered them both.
We did. So Leslie, we're going to have a few people from NBRDC attend that Brownfield Partnership meeting. Okay.
Great. Yeah, we'll just need to make sure we can get them registered so that they're on our list, but that's no problem.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Anybody else got anything going on? It's, we're up to item agenda number 8, other.
It's officially the longest meeting we've ever had.
It's the longest meeting we ever had, but it was the first hour was the best meeting we ever had.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody, listen, I hope you're all well, stay safe. Bob Chatfield, keep the faith. And, anybody want to give me a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
You too.
Back at you.
And next meeting, December 11th. And with that,